A very good morning to all my dear students. Welcome to your science class. I hope everyone is enjoying the e-learning. So children, in today's module we will study about soil. So the topics which we will be studying in this chapter are soil and its importance, formation of soil profile, composition of soil particles, types of soil, properties of soil and crops, and lastly, soil erosion. So, children, whenever you hear this term soil, the first thing I might would think will come in your mind is plants. Okay, so children, this is like very much clear that plants cannot grow without soil. If there is no soil, you cannot sow the plant. And children, I hope there is no need to tell you the importance of plant. Children, as plants are the primary producers and they are the primary source of food. So children, without food our life is not possible, and if plants will not be there, there will be no food, there will be no crops, there will be no plants. And children, also plants gives us oxygen. So there are a list of importance of plants, and these plants which have a very great significance in our lives would not survive without this soil. So children, you yourself think that how important soil is to us. Also children, soil provides the essential nutrients to the plants, and here we are going to study that if we want to define soil, we can define it in one line as the uppermost layer of the earth's crust in which plants grow. Children, soil is a natural resource found on the earth's surface. It contains both organic as well as inorganic materials. Children, organic materials are those materials which contain carbon, and inorganic are the ones which contain other than carbon. Children, organic material like manure. So children, these are the if the animals and the plant wastes are decomposed, so they add organic material to the soil and it enhances its fertility. Children, appearance of the soil. Children, you can see that the soil may appear from brown to dark brown to like very dark, like somewhat blackish kind of appearance it might would give. Also children, black soil and red soil will study further. Children, substances may be present in the soil are tiny rock particles, clay and humus. Children, now in the next slide we will be studying about how the soil is formed. So children, of course we will study that soil, the making of soil is a very time taking process and the rocks are broken. So children, it is like pretty very obvious that the rock presence would be there. And children, clay is the very fine particles, and humus is children the decomposed plants and animals. So children, soil is a reservoir of many minerals and salts which are essential for the living organisms. Children, here I have given one slide for the importance of soil, and this I can just read out the headings for you, because to explain it I know that all these things are pretty clear for you. Children, you know that without soil the growth of the plants would not take place. It retain water. That means children, it has a water holding capacity which help the plants to grow. Children, it gives mechanical support to the plant. Children, as you can see the growth of the plant upward of the shoot portion, the growth you can just simply observe the growth of the shoot portion, but as the same time and on the same time children, it also the root portion also grows, and it grows downward. So children, it gives mechanical support to the plant, and it keep intact the plant to the ground. Okay, Now children, that is why when the rain comes, the plants they just don't fall so easily. Okay, now provides shelter to many organisms. So children, soil is a place where many small living creatures are like they have their habitats there. So we will discuss in detail that what all organisms are most commonly found in soil. Also children, we have studied about nitrogen fixation. Children, there I do have told you that although the nitrogen is present in abundance in atmosphere, but that atmospheric nitrogen the plants could not use as it is. So children, for that it has to be converted into nitrogenous compounds, and this conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds, nitrates and nitrites, it will be done by the bacteria present in the soil. Like for example, I have given you the example of rhizobium bacteria, which is present in the root nodules of leguminous plants, for example children, pea. So bacterias, and they have like so many uses. Okay, they play a very vital role in the soil. Now children, formation of soil. We'll talk about how the formation of the soil takes place. Children, formation of soil is a very slow and gradual process. It takes thousands of years to form a layer of soil. Children, it is not a process that would take place in a day. It is a process which could take thousands of years for the formation of a single layer. So children, soil is formed from the breaking of rocks by the action of ice, wind, climate changes, and even living organisms. So children, the abrasive means children the harsh and rough touch of these forces like ice, wind, climate change, that means children heat, will result in breaking down of the rocks into tiny particles, and that will ultimately result in the formation of soil. So children, the process of formation of soil from the breakdown of rocks is called weathering. Also children, there are different variety of rocks, like for example children, igneous rocks formed due to cooling of molten magma or lava. So children, like the soil which is from this igneous rocks will have entirely different properties as it would be in the soil which is made from the sedimentary rock or metamorphic rock. So children, the nature of the soil varies with the type of rock. So the nature of the soil, children, formed by the breaking down of the rock particles depends upon the following main three factors. And majorly children, the three factors are the rocks from which it has been formed, the type of vegetation that grows in it, and the climate of the place. So children, these are the three factors on which the nature of the soil depends. Children, now we will talk about soil profile. So children, before I go to the soil profile, I want to tell you the reason how how these forces would work on the rocks to break them down into tiny particles. Like children, water plays an important role in breaking large pieces of rock into smaller pieces. Children, rainwater enters the small crevices of rocks. Like children, you can see crevices means the small gaps present in the rock. So the water may reach in this. Rainwater enters the small crevices of rocks. In winters, this water freezes to form ice. And children, when this water in winters will freeze and ice will be formed. Children, when the ice in the crevices of these rocks expands, it causes the crevices to open up further. This leads to the breakdown of rocks. It also results in the formation of small rock pieces. So children, then on the small rock pieces, the water or the air would act abrasively and would result in the formation of soil. Children, rain and river water further breaks the rock particles into fine grains by abrasive action. Children, wind blowing across a rocky surface also has an abrasive effect. It carries away a minute rock particles to other places. Children, the abrasive, the word term I am using again and again, abrasive, I already have told you the meaning of it. That means harsh and rough manner. So, children, certain plants like lichens grow on the surface of rocks. These lichens produce acid. Children, in this crevices or on the rocks, certain plants may grow. And, like for example, agar lichen grow karta hai, so it produces acid, which act on the rocky surface and produce fine soil particles. The crevices in the rocks also formed in this manner. So, children, by the action of the acid produced by lichens which grow on rocks, so children, in this way the crevices also are formed. In crevices, microbes, algae, insects, worms grow and die. More soil is formed in this manner. Children, roots of the plants which grow in the crevices of the rocks put pressure on the rocks. This causes cracks in them, leading to the breakdown and withering. So ultimately, children, what is actually happening? The big rock is will be broken down into smaller tiny pieces rocks, and then by the action of the other forces it will convert into soil. Children, the rock expands during the day due to heating by the sun and contracts at night. Regular expansion and contraction weakens the rock, so they ultimately crack and break down. So, children, this is all about the formation of soil. So, now it should be clear to everyone that how soil is formed. Now, children, we will talk about soil profile. Children, usually we see the surface of the soil. If we look at the sides of a ditch, children, if you want to see the profile means, children, the different layers present in the soil. Children, whenever we go out and we see, like we often see only the top soil, because children, if we want to see the side, like the layers, and if you want to see it, you have to go to the place where the foundation or any construction work is going on. So children, we can see what is under the surface. Such a view of the soil is called soil profile. So children, then you must have seen, children, like in Bareilly nowadays sewer line work is going on, children. So there you might could see that the layers of the soil, agar wahan pe bahut gehra sa gadda hota hai, so children, simply you can see the different layers of the soil. So children, now we will just focus on the different layers of the soil. So children, these layers are also known as horizon. So a vertical section of the soil, children, here that is there, so sorry, it is missing over here. So a vertical section of the soil showing its different layers or horizons is called soil profile. It helps us to get an inner view of the soil. We can see that soil is arranged in layers, also called horizons. So children, like you can see humus, topsoil, subsoil, and this is children, this is the layer parent rock. So children, now we will see all these layers in detail, and these different layers are termed as soil profile. So children, the three main layers of the soil are as follows. Children, this humus, this would not present children all the time, because children, the places where the leaves are more, like in forests, only there this layer is present. Okay, so children, we more often study talk about the topsoil, subsoil, and the parent rock, and parent rock also called sea horizon, and the bedrock, children. So these are basically we are going to see in details about these three horizons. That means A horizon, B horizon, and children, C horizon. This bedrock, children, is also in some of the books you might could see that it is written R horizon. Okay, so now children, we are going to see in detail. So we are going to see in somewhat detail about the topsoil. So it is also known as a horizon, children, and it shows the following features. It usually, children, as the presence of humus is there, so it is dark in color. Children, it is rich in humus as it contains a lot of decayed plant and animal remains. It makes the soil fertile. Children, what is the function of humus? It imparts fertility to the soil. Children, this layer is soft and porous. Children, because this is porous, that is why, children, the water perlocates under the ground. Children, the roots of the plant are completely embedded in it. Children, you can see here that the root of the plants are completely embedded, and as the time will go on, so it might penetrate deep inside also. Now, children, in case of trees, the root may go to the B horizon, but in the small plants, it would reach only till horizon A. It is the home for many living organisms such as, children, worms, insects, bacteria, fungi. In topsoil, children, from which plant get the essential nutrients. Children, here from here the plants get its essential nutrients, children, through water from the soil. So, children, here I want to tell you one thing, that is, children, in the on rainy days, children, you might could see that the earthworm used to come on the surface, because the pores which are present in the soil, they may get filled with the water, and these living organisms could not survive in the clogged water. So if the water get clogged in these pores, so they would come out. So, children, here I want to tell you one thing, that the earthworm, which is like there in the which is there in the soil, is known as farmer's friend, children, because they burrow into the soil and swallow it and make it loose. Soil texture is improved in this manner. So, children, that is why the earthworms which are living in the soil are known as farmer's friend. Now, children, we'll talk about B horizon. Already we have told, children, the roots of the trees will reach horizon B. So the layer below the topsoil is called subsoil or B horizon, children, or the middle layer. It is like you can call it by three terms: horizon A, horizon B, subsoil, and middle layer, and it is present like, children, below the topsoil. It is lighter in color than the topsoil, because, children, the presence of the humus is like the composition of in composition, children, the humus is quite lesser in quantity as compared to the topsoil. It usually harder and more compact than the topsoil. Children, as we go deep down, so the hardness of the soil would increase, because, children, it is very easy. अगर आप किसी स्पेड से लैंड को डिग करते हो, सो ये बहुत easy होता है कि आप अपर लेयर्स को डिग कर पाओ. But, children, as you go deeper and deeper, it would become more difficult for you to dig, because the soil will get harder. Children, it is rich in soluble minerals like iron oxide. Children, if the soil is very rich in iron oxide, so it will start to turn into reddish color. So, children, that is why the soil which is rich in iron oxides would give a reddish appearance. Children, it has very little humus, and water collects in this layer. Children, as the soil is porous, so the rainwater might perlocate, and, children, might seep deep inside, and this region of the soil profile will hold the water, will retain the water. Now, children, we'll talk about the parent rock, and we also name it as horizon C. Children, this layer is located below the subsoil and is known as parent rock or horizon C. Children, it has the following features, like, children, it is made up of small lumps of rocks with spaces in between formed by cracks and crevices. Rainwater collects in this region also. So, children, these are like, here the seepage of the water will take place, and in these two regions the water will be collected, will be retained. Below the parent rock, children, below the C horizon, There is a solid rock called children, इसको bedrock इसलिए बोलते हैं because the other layers they are on it, so that is why it is known as bedrock children. And bedrock के बाद children, bedrock is not at all porous और उसके आगे पानी नहीं जाता, so that is why children the level of it is known as water table. It is hard and cannot be dug up with a spade. Water collects over the bedrock from the water table. Now children, we'll talk about the composition of soil. So children, mineral particles are present in the soil. So children, when you will hold the soil in your hand, you might would see that there it is a mixture, बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं इसमें. And children, one activity is also there. If you will take a handful of soil and you will mix it in a beaker and you will stir it with a glass rod. So children, if you will just keep it as it is, so after sedimentation will take place, you can simply see that it will settle into layers depending on the weight. So the heavier particles will settle at the bottom, and children, you can see at the top that the tiny particles of the leaves will be floating. So that is humus. That shows the presence of humus, children. So here inorganic substances are also present, children, as like you can see that soil contains a variety of inorganic salts such as nitrate, sulfate, phosphate, carbonates of potassium and magnesium, sodium and iron. Children, these are the essential inorganic substances which are required by the plants for their growth. Children, organic substance like humus. Children, the organic substances are the substances which contains carbon in it. So children, it imparts fertility to the soil, and already I have told you much about humus, that children, it is the decomposed plant and animal remains. Children, it is very rich organic matter and it increases the soil fertility. And children, if the amount of humus is more in the soil, so the soil would appear blackish in color. Children, now humus makes the soil fertile and it improves water holding capacity and also increases the growth of microbes in the soil. So children, the processes like decomposition. So children, ये क्या होता है, ये इस microbes के living conditions को enhance करता है, जिससे कि यहाँ पे the bacteria and the fungi help in the decomposition of dead plants and animals. This process releases the minerals back to the soil, which can again be used up by the plant roots. So children, इसीलिए microbes की presence को enhance करता है. microbes की जो आपकी बहुत सारे functions होते हैं, जिसमें कि मैंने आपको भी एक बताया. So children, nitrogen fixation already I have told you. So we will see that, as I have told you children, that soil is a habitat of so many living organisms. So children, you can see bacteria, fungi, algae, insects, white ants, grasshopper, centipede, millipede, scorpion, beetles, earthworms, sandworms. So children, these they could be living in the soil. आप देख सकते हो, अगर आप थोड़ी सी soil उठा के देखोगे तो आप उसमें moving particles, moving or living little organisms को देख सकते हो. Children, big animals like moles, rats and rabbits also build their homes in the soil. So now children, soil water is also present in the soil, children, as again and again I'm saying that soil has a very good water holding capacity. So children, all types of soil generally contains water in the spaces present between the soil particles. So children, the water holding capacity would vary in different soil, like in sandy soil, children, sandy, clay and loamy. Children, these are categorized in these categories on the basis of the size of their particles. So children, we will just discuss it in the coming slides. So now here you can see children that sandy, clay and loamy soil. So here children, sandy soil, the particles in the sandy soils, the majority children, मैं ये नहीं बोल सकती कि that सारे ही particles बड़े होते, because soil is a mixture, but the majority जो ज़्यादा children majority में particles होते हैं, they are bigger. So that is why children, it has a very bad water holding capacity. तभी आप देख सकते हो children, the regions of the desert, वहाँ पे क्या होता है, xerophytic plants like cactus and all grow कर सकते हैं, जिसको कि ज़्यादा पानी की ज़रूरत नहीं होती. Children, the clay soil is used for the crops, जहाँ पे कि आपको ज़्यादा जिन crops को पानी चाहिए उनको grow कर सकते हो, because it has very fine tiny particles, so it has a very good water holding capacity. Water बहुत अच्छे से इसमें retain कर सकता है. Children, loamy soil is the best soil for the growth of plants, because children, it is a combination. The particle size lies in between the sandy and the clayey soil. So children, that is why it has good features of all the, like it is located in the middle of the loamy and the clayey soils. So children, it has features of both of them, and children, that is why यहाँ पे आपको it is known as the best soil for the growth of the plants. Now children, air is also present in the soil and in the spaces between, so it is needed for the respiration. Underground children, जो underground parts होते हैं plant के, उसके लिए ये ज़रूरी होता है, as well as for the living organisms in the soil. So the living organisms which are जहाँ पे वो रहते हैं, so children, उनके लिए ये air जो है वो use करते हैं. Children, soil particles, the size of the soil particles may vary. Like children, you can see gravel. So इसका जो gravel का size होता है, or stone you can see, so it is more than 2 mm. Okay children, so now sand, the size of the sand is 0.05 to 2 mm. Mm is millimeter children. Now children, you can see silt. So the size of the silt is 0.002 to 0.05 millimeters. And children, the size of the clay particles are less than 0.02 millimeters. So now children, as the size of these particles varies, so as the properties of the soil may also, so the soil which will be resulting by these particles, the properties of that soil will also differ. So children, now we will talk about, so as I have told you children, then you will take a handful of soil and then you will just, so already children, I have told you this, that the different layers you can see after the sedimentation will take place. So you can pause the video and you can read it, and you can just clear your doubts. And children, soil types. So based on the proportion of the soil particles children, as I have told you that different soil particles, like आपके जो gravel and stone होता है children, उसका size ज़्यादा बड़ा होता है, sand का उससे कम होता है, silt का उससे कम होता है, clay का बहुत ही fine होता है. So children, on that basis, when the soil has a greater portion of big particles, so in other words children, it has a lot of sand, it is known as sandy soil. Children, if the portion of the particle is relatively higher, so children, it is called clay soil. It has more clay particles. So children, the potter used this clay soil because children, this soil has more good water holding capacity. Now children, in some soil, the amount of the large and fine particles is almost same. So such soil is known as loamy soil, and it is the best soil for the growth of the plant. So children, properties of sandy soil. Now we'll talk about the properties of sandy soil children. So shows the following properties. Due to the presence of large particles children, soil has bigger air spaces, it is highly porous, and water retention is poor children. The water percolates at a very rapid rate, and the water holding capacity of here is quite is not so good. It lacks humus children. The presence of humus is not there. So यहाँ पे क्या होता है, water holding capacity, क्योंकि humus जो water holding capacity होती है soil की, उसको increase करता है, यहाँ पे नहीं है. तो children, perlocation of the water will be the rate will be increased. Now children, it is not suitable for the growth of plants. So children, as the water holding, and as you know children, how water is important for the plants, so and as the nutrients from the soil will reach the plant, it gets infused in the water, and it may reach the upper region of the different parts of the plant. So children, now we'll talk about the clay soil. So children, you must have seen the potter making different pots and children, so they use this clay soil. It has more fine particles with small air spaces. Water retention is high, and the soil becomes sticky and wet. Some humus is present children. Here we cannot say that the presence of humus is not at all present. It is present, but in a tiny amount. Plant growth takes place in such soil also children. The crops which require more water, so these crops may grow in this. So children, properties of loamy soil. Loamy soil soil is the best soil for the plant growth. Children, already I have told you this. So this soil shows the following features. So it contains a mixture of sand, silt, clay. So children, यहाँ पे different size के particles जो मैंने इनके आपके different sizes बताए थे वो present होते हैं in equal amount. It has high humus content. It is porous and contains sufficient water in air, and it is a good for cultivation. So children, आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो clumps immediately falls apart when the soil is too sandy, and children, if it doesn't crumble at all, soil has too much clay, and silty soil will feel slimy and wet and will become powdery when dry. So ideal loam will hold its shape but crumble if you poke at it. So children, आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो कि आपकी जो सॉइल है, अगर आप इसको जो लोमी सॉइल होती है आप उसको क्या कर सकते हो, शेप में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो. हियर यू कैन सी. सो ये एक टेस्ट होता है सॉइल को देखने का कि उसमें दैट इट इज़ अ लोमी सॉइल. सो चिल्ड्रन, इट इज़ द बेस्ट सॉइल फॉर द ग्रोथ ऑफ प्लांट्स, एज इसके अंदर एयर भी है, इसके अंदर ह्यूमस है तो वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी भी होगी, एंड रूट्स क्या होंगी, अच्छे से पेनिट्रेट कर सकेंगी, और चिल्ड्रन उसमें अच्छे से प्लांट को मैकेनिकल सपोर्ट मिल पाएगा. सो चलो, नाउ विल टॉक अबाउट द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ सॉइल. सो percolation rate of the water and water absorption by soil. So children, percolation rate of water we'll talk about. So children, here one activity is there. So you will have to take the PVC pipes and about 5 meter diameter के लेने हैं आपको, and children 20 centimeter length. Then select 3 different types of soil, like you can say children sandy, clay and loamy. Now place the 3 PVC pipes about 2 centimeter deep in the ground. Pour 200 ml of water with the help of a graduated beaker with a pipe slowly. Note the time to pour 200 ml water till all water in the pipe has seeped into the ground. So you will have to see to the time also, and calculate the rate of percolation for 3 types of separate. So children, you will see that how fast the water will pass through the soil. So children, now using this formula कि आप क्या करेंगे, amount of water upon percolation time. So the amount of water is same for all and the time will change. Now using this formula, the percolation rate of the soil B and C also आप निकाल सकते हैं. ये already आप यहाँ पे निकाल लेंगे. For example, suppose that site A, it looks 10 minutes for 200 ml of the water to percolate. अगर 10 minutes लगे, then percolation rate of यहाँ पे अगर आप इसको फॉर्मूला में पुट करेंगे तो 10 minutes upon 200 ml. So ml per minute में इसकी वैल्यू आ जाएगी, that is 20 ml. Similarly children, the different time would be taken by the different type of soil like clay and loamy, so आप उसका भी निकाल सकते हैं. Okay, so in this way children, you can find out the rate of percolation of water. Okay, तो आप देख सकते हो चिल्ड्रन यहाँ पे कि कैसे होगा. सो देन यू कैन कंपेयर ऑल्सो. सो आप यहाँ पे देखोगे चिल्ड्रन, लाइक नाउ यू विल सी दैट द percolation रेट जो आपका सैंड का होगा, क्योंकि उसके पार्टिकल्स बड़े होते हैं तो वहाँ से पानी जल्दी से क्या होगा, उसके जो बिगर पार्टिकल्स में जो स्पेसेस होंगी उससे जल्दी से पास हो जाएगा. नाउ चिल्ड्रन, वाटर एब्जॉर्प्शन बाय सॉइल. सो चिल्ड्रन, वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी क्ले की सबसे ज़्यादा होती है, बिकॉज चिल्ड्रन वहाँ पे जो एयर स्पेसेस होते हैं वो बहुत कम होते हैं. सो चिल्ड्रन, दैट इज़ वाई यहाँ पे होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी ज़्यादा होती है. सो नाउ चिल्ड्रन, वील टॉक अबाउट द सॉइल इन क्रॉप्स. सो चिल्ड्रन, आपको ऑलरेडी हम डिफरेंट प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ सॉइल बता चुके हैं, एंड चिल्ड्रन द कलर ऑफ द सॉइल माइट वुड ऑल्सो वेरी. अगर वहाँ पे ह्यूमस ज़्यादा है तो ब्लैक सॉइल होगी, एंड चिल्ड्रन जिसमें कि आप कॉटन एंड शुगर को ज़्यादा अच्छे से ग्रो कर सकते हो. एंड चिल्ड्रन, अगर वहाँ पे आयरन ऑक्साइड्स एंड चिल्ड्रन आपका रेड सॉइल जो होता है उसकी अपीयरेंस आयरन ऑक्साइड्स की वजह से होती है. एंड चिल्ड्रन, इट इज़ पुअर इन ह्यूमस. सो अगर आप उसमें कुछ फर्टिलाइजर्स या मैन्योर्स को ऐड कर देते हो, सो चिल्ड्रन ग्राउंडनट्स, मिलेट्स, राइस, पोटैटो you can grow in this. So children, depending on the geographical location, the type of soil varies in color, texture. आप जब उसको हैंड में लेते हो तो उसके पार्टिकल्स का वो कोर्स है या फाइन है चिल्ड्रन, that is texture and contents. Different types of soils found in different parts of our country. It may be sandy. चिल्ड्रन, आप देखते होगे जो आपके लाइक डेजर्ट एरियाज होते हैं, सहारा डेजर्ट में आपकी सैंडी सॉइल बहुत होती है. सो वहाँ पे जीरोफिटिक प्लांट्स ग्रो करते हैं जिनको कि ज़्यादा पानी नहीं चाहिए. और चिल्ड्रन, उनके जो कैक्टस जो होते हैं, उनके जो लीव्स होते हैं वो थॉर्न्स का शेप ले लेते हैं, सो दैट चिल्ड्रन उनमें ज़्यादा ट्रांसपिरेशन, वाटर लॉस नहीं होता. लूमी और क्लेई सॉइल डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द रीजन. ग्रोइंग क्रॉप्स in the a region determined by the type of soil. So children, किस जगह आप कैसे crops को grow करोगे उसकी soil की quality पे depend करता है. So children, sandy soil found in deserts does not support growth of crops. In sandy soil, the soil particles are quite big, so water percolates very quickly. हमने इसको experiment से भी देख लिया. It also carries away the nutrients. This is called leaching of the nutrients. So children, ये जल्दी से पानी जो आपका नीचे पर पास हो जाता है उससे सारे nutrients भी आपके क्या होते हैं children, pass through हो जाते हैं. This process is leaching. This makes the soil unfit for the plants. Also children, आपका जो plant होगा उसका जो वो अच्छे से intact भी नहीं रह पाएगा, उसे mechanical support भी नहीं मिलेगी. Now loamy soil is suitable for growing crops like lentils, masoor and gram. Such soil does not show waterlogging. Water is easily drained out of it. Clay soil is good for crops like wheat and paddy. सो चिल्ड्रन, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो वीट एंड पैडी के लिए हमको क्लेई सॉइल चाहिए क्योंकि यहाँ पे पानी ज़्यादा चाहिए होता है. क्लेई सॉइल हैज़ अ गुड वाटर रिटेनिंग कैपेसिटी. वाटर लॉगिंग टेक्स प्लेस व्हेन देयर इज हैवी रेनफॉल. Being rich in humus, clay soil is very fertile. So children, now we'll talk about soil erosion. So it could be as a result of like storm. जब बहुत तेज हवा चलती है, पानी children का flow बहुत ही speedy होता है, तो उसके साथ टॉप मोस्ट जो लेयर ऑफ द सॉइल होती है वो क्या होती है, इरोड हो जाती है, वो उसके साथ बह जाती है. एंड चिल्ड्रन, द रिमूवल ऑफ द टॉप सॉइल बाय विंड एंड वाटर. सो दिस प्रोसेस दिस इज नोन एज सॉइल इरोजन. और चिल्ड्रन, अगर आपके इफ यू विल प्लांट मोर एंड मोर ट्रीज, सो चिल्ड्रन like the roots of the plant, it holds the water. So children, the soil erosion would decrease. Okay, and children, soil erosion से हमारा जो टॉप मोस्ट सॉइल जिसमें कि ह्यूमस प्रेजेंट होता है वो चिल्ड्रन इरोड जब वो बह जाता है तो फर्टिलिटी चिल्ड्रन इशूज़ होते हैं. बहुत सारे जो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स वहाँ पे रहते हैं उनका हैबिटेट भी चिल्ड्रन वो खो देते हैं. सो कॉजेज ऑफ सॉइल इरोजन आर चिल्ड्रन कटिंग डाउन ऑफ द ट्रीज विच लूजन अप द सॉइल, फ्लड्स एंड हैवी रेन्स, सो चिल्ड्रन विच washes away the top soil, overgrazing by the animals, forest fires which destroy plants cover, and poor farming methods. So children, these are the few causes of the soil erosion. Now children, we'll talk about the prevention of soil. So children, we will talk about prevention of soil erosion, how we can prevent this soil erosion. So children, this is also known as soil conservation. So some of the method of soil conservation are as follows. We need to plant more and more trees. That means afforestation. More areas should be covered with trees so that children, the roots it could hold the water and children hold the soil firmly, और इससे क्या होगा, soil erosion नहीं होगा. Flood control by constructs of dam. Planting trees as shelter belts to reduce the effect of strong winds. So children, planting trees would greatly help in reducing the soil erosion. And children, terrace farming on sloping areas and hills which reduces steepness of slopes and checks soil erosion. Now children, preventing overgrazing. So children, all these steps could be taken. In that way the soil erosion would be controlled and the the fertility of the soil may retain. And children, so here the definitions and the quick roundup is given over here, so you can children pause right here and you can see the different points so that you can summarize the whole chapter in just a sight. Okay, so children, pause the video right here and just read all the points. Thank you children, thank you for listening. I hope that this video would help you in clearing all your doubts. Thank you children, thank you for listening to this.